Hi guys, Chris here. 2026 is stacked with games and it's hard to keep track of all of them. So I went through everything coming up in the second half of the year and picked the 10 I think are worth your attention. Just a quick heads up, this list focuses on PC releases, so if you're looking for a specific console exclusive, you probably won't find it here. And with that out of the way, let's start off. In number 10 we have Resonance, a Plague Tale legacy. From Asobo Studio and Focus Entertainment, this is a prequel to the story of Plague Tale Innocence and Requiem. Resonance is an action-adventure, stealth narrative-driven game taking place 15 years before Plague Tale Requiem. Players will take control of young Sophia, a skilled, agile and strong-willed fighter before she becomes the smuggler we know from the main series. Sophia's journey will start on Minotaur Island, where she will face deadly trials, solve puzzles and conquer mazes, all to claim a mysterious treasure, all while fighting and staying one step ahead of an army chasing after her. Players will be engaging in dynamic and violent melee combat following the familiar flow of dodging red and parrying yellow strikes. You can also use the environment to your advantage and keep enemies at bay by throwing pots from the ground at them or using your grappling hook to pull them from high places. Sophia will be going between the Middle Ages and ancient Minoan times to relive memories related to Theseus, but what might come of this connection, only time will show. Resonance hits August 27, 2026. Alright, coming in at number 9 we have Phantom Blade Zero, developed by S-Game. Now at first glance this dark fantasy action RPG definitely gives off a strong Souls-like vibe, but what's really exciting here is the combat. The devs are promising a reimagined take on traditional Chinese kung fu, heavily inspired by the golden age of action cinema. Every strike and stance is drawn from an authentic martial arts technique captured with the film-like precision and built from the ground up for modern hardware. The game is set in a dark fictional universe based on 14th century China during the Ming Dynasty. You play as Soul, an elite assassin from a powerful shadowy organization known as the Order. The plot kicks off when Soul is framed for the murder of the Order's patriarch and a brutal manhunt follows, leaving him gravely wounded. And with a massive catch, he only has 66 days left to live. Hunted by his former colleagues, you have to use Soul's remaining days to slice through a massive conspiracy, find the true mastermind before your time literally runs out. On the gameplay front, expect a massive variety of gear fitting your playstyle, ranging from slow and methodical to the fast and flashy. There are over 30 weapons at your disposal, including 20 unique variants called Phantom Edges. You'll be able to switch between 2 primaries and 2 secondary weapons on the fly, each of them featuring a powerful surge move, which is essentially your ultimate skill. As a certified loot goblin myself, I'm already excited just thinking about collecting all these uniques and seeing what kind of movesets they bring to the table. Judging by the trailer, the combat looks incredibly fast and brutal, with only one real concern here. It's running on Unreal Engine 5, so I'm crossing my fingers that it launches a bit better and cleaner than some of the other UE titles we've seen so far. Phantom Blade Zero is scheduled to drop on October 29th, 2026. Next up at number 8 we have Onimusha Way of the Sword, developed and published by Capcom. If you've been missing the classic grim and visceral hack and slash aesthetic, this is the grand return we've all been waiting for. The game is set in Edo period Kyoto, a city being twisted by clouds of miasma and overrun by the franchise's infamous army, the Genma. You play as a young Miyamoto Musashi on a journey for strength and knowledge. After getting caught in the crossfire between the demons and the capital forces, Musashi finds himself in possession of an gauntlet, completed with a mysterious voice that calls from within. Whether he embraces the power offered by the gauntlet or relies entirely on his skills as a swordsman remains to be seen. Personally, I hope Capcom gives us a branching narrative where the ending actually changes dependent on how much we choose to rely on the Oni's power. Gameplay-wise, the series officially ditches its classic fixed camera angle for a tight, deliberate and completely modernized third-person system. But long-term fans rest easy, the iconic ease and attack mechanic it's making its glorious comeback. This is a high-stakes system where matching the enemy's attack with a perfect parry rewards with an instantaneous cinematic one-hit kill. Basically a perfect parry equals devastation for the receiving end. And here's an interesting bit of trivia for you. Capcom reportedly spent 2 full years just securing the legal right to use the physical likeness of the late Japanese cinema star Toshiro Mifune for Musashi's character model. It really shows how much time, effort and budget Capcom is investing to make made this revival special. Now, you might have originally marked your calendar for late September, but Capcom actually dropped some massive news. They are moving the release date forward. Onimusha Way of the Sword is officially scheduled to hit PC on September 4th, 2026.
Then get going, Onimusha.
And from the far past, we're moving to the grimdark future. At number 7, we have Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 4. Developed by Studio King Art and published by Deep Silver. Game Workshop actually approached King Art with the pitch for a new Dawn of War while they were still developing Iron Harvest, after seeing just how successful their Kickstarter campaign was. And honestly, if you haven't played Iron Harvest, I highly suggest you check it out. Now, after a decade-long hiatus, Dawn of War is finally returning, and the best of all, it's bringing back the traditional RTS base building mechanic that the series abandoned in favor of the small-scale base building gameplay. The story takes place 200 years after the events of the iconic 2006 Dark Crusade. You'll be fighting for dominion over the world of Kronos in a massive 70 missions campaign featuring critical branching choices. These decisions will alter the map layout and unlock unique campaign missions, whether you're playing solo or co-op with a friend. You'll be taking control of 4 factions: the Space Marines, Adeptus Mechanicus, Necrons, and Orcs, each with their own campaign and unique hero units. And for the Space Marines, we will be able to pick between 2 chapters, each featuring its own hero unit. For the Blood Ravens, we have Captain Kairos, and for the Dark Angels, we are getting Lionel Johnson himself, making this the first time a Primarch is fully playable in the Warhammer 40k RTS games. Good luck telling your co-op partner they need to play as Blood Ravens while you're running around as a literal demigod. So far, there is no confirmation that any of the other factions are getting their own sub-factions. King Art has also evolved the classic sync kill system into something they've called Combat Director, essentially meaning that every melee clash now looks fully choreographed and brutal, rather than units just awkwardly swinging at midair. I've deeply missed the classic 40k base building experience. It really felt like Dawn of War has lost its identity for a while there, so I am incredibly happy that King Art is steering the franchise back into its glory days. The game already has a heavily stacked Tier 1 roadmap planned with new maps, factions, and story expansions, and it's officially set to arrive on September 17, 2026.
Remembers only victory.
Sitting at number 6, we have Gears of War E-Day, developed by the Coalition and People Can Fly. Gears is making its grand return as a gritty third-person action horror cover shooter set 14 years before the events of the original. E-Day will offer both new and veteran fans a front row seat as the planet Serra and its society collapses. We get to witness the exact moment the Locust first breaches surface, and the entire campaign takes place over the span of just 3 frantic and brutal days. Players will step into the boots of Marcus Phoenix, Dominic Santiago, and the rest of Bravo squad, with the campaign being fully playable in up to 4-player online co-op. The best news, the developers have stated they are completely ditching the divisive open-world skiff section from Gears 5. Instead, they are returning to the tight, highly cinematic and linear campaign structure the original was famous for, just modernized with much wider flanking paths and a lot more verticality. Even the iconic screen-shaking road run is getting an upgrade. The camera now pulls back smoothly, letting you see the battlefield clearly while sprinting. Overall mobility is being extended with the inclusion of sliding and contextual jumping. Now, I wouldn't say those are industry innovations, but they're definitely a welcome change of pace compared to the old rigid cover-to-cover run. And if you want to get your hands on it early, an exclusive beta kicks off from August 6th throughout the 10th for anyone who pre-orders or has the Xbox Games Pass. You'll be able to test the traditional versus PvP mode alongside a brand new PvE mode called Horde Siege, where 12 players will band together to face off against the Locust. A free beta is likely to follow in the weeks after, just to convince you to spend that sweet cash of yours. The full game is set to drop on October 6, 2026, and let's just hope the Coalition spends enough time cooking in the kitchen so we get a decent performance out of Unreal Engine 5. Fingers crossed. Smack dab in the middle of the list, at number 5 we have Halo, Campaign Evolved, developed by Halo Studios. If this developer name sounds slightly new, it's because 343 officially rebranded to signal a complete fresh era for the franchise. And what a better way to kick off a new era than by rebuilding the legendary 2001 classic from the ground up. You'll be stepping right back into the iconic Mark V Mjolnir armor as Master Chief, accompanied by your trusty AI companion Cortana. The premise is exactly as you remembered. short, after the tragic events of Halo Reach, you crash land on Alpha Halo. Stranded and vastly outnumbered, you have to rely surviving UNNC forces to hold off the Covenant, all while uncovering a horrific parasitic threat capable of wiping all sentient life in the galaxy. But this isn't just a one-to-one visual upgrade. While the remake faithfully covers the classic 10 missions, Halo Studios added 3 brand new exclusive missions to extend the story, which follow Master Chief and Sergeant Johnson as they infiltrate the Covenant ship. In a massive structural shift, traditional competitive PvP multiplayer is being completely sidelined here. And honestly, after seeing how mixed the reception for Halo Infinite multiplayer was, focusing 100% of your resources on a highly refined campaign experience feels like the right call here. To make up for it, Campaign Evolve will feature a full 4-player cross-platform cooperative play, and yes, you heard that right. It's launching across Xbox, PC and PlayStation 5, so you can finally squad up with your friends regardless of the platform they're playing on. Just like few other titles on this list, this remake is built entirely on the Unreal Engine 5. This decision was most certainly made after the immense technical difficulties the team faced with the proprietary Sleep Space engine during Infinite life cycle. Personally, I think it's a smart move to switch to an industry standard rather than trying to squeeze out more life out of an old engine and hoping for a miracle. Halo Campaign Evolve is right on the horizon, officially scheduled to launch July 28, 2026. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to return to the ring. Coming in at number 4 we have Control Resonant, developed and published by Remedy Entertainment. This time around, reality is completely shattered outside the Federal Bureau of Control, and instead of Jessie, we're stepping into the shoes of her brother Dylan Faden. If you remember him from the first game, you know Dylan is a supernaturally gifted, heavily enhanced and honestly pretty unstable. The story kicks off when director Jesse Faden mysteriously goes missing, and because of that the Bureau is forced to let Dylan out of containment and use him as a weapon. He will have to harness his unpredictable power to hunt down a brand new threat in a world that's completely collapsing. Now, on the gameplay side, Remedy is doing something new. They are dropping the over-the-shoulder shooter style from the first game, and instead Resonant is being built from the ground up as a fast-paced, action-heavy RPG focused entirely on close, psychic melee combat. Honestly, comparing this playstyle to something like Devil May Cry isn't a long shot. Jessie had her iconic serviced weapon, and Dylan gets something completely different. He uses a sentient mass of shifting matter called the Aberrant. This thing can morph on the fly to high-impact melee weapons like blades, hammers, and whips, which makes his playstyle vastly different from that of Jesse's. We are also leaving behind the tight, brutalist hallways of the oldest house. This time the action takes place outside in downtown Manhattan. The city environment means tons of vertical gameplay, and you'll be able to constantly switch between rooftop, street level and underground tunnels, which means you should feel even more like a superhero than ever before. Control Resonant is officially scheduled to drop on September 24th, 2026. Moving on from apocalyptic New York to an island that is as whimsical as it is terrifying. At number 3 we have the 1.0 release of No Rest for the Wicked, developed by Moon Studio. Yes, you heard me right, the same studio behind the original Ori series. If you ever played Ori, you already know just how masterfully this studio can weave story, music and art design together. But this time around they're trading the beautiful whimsy for a bloody sword and a mutant plague. The game itself is grim top-down isometric RPG with heavy Souls-like vibes. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Technically, this isn't a brand new game. It actually launched in early access back in April 2024. But since then, it constantly evolved with massive quality of life updates, balancing tweaks, and a multiplayer feature. The story kicks off on the Sacred Isles, where a horrific mutant plague called the Pestilence has returned and after thousands of years turns regular people into absolute nightmares. You play as a Serim, a legendary warrior sworn to hunt down and cleanse the plague at any cost. Expect combat to be slow, weighty and incredibly punishing. You will need to manage stamina, space your attacks, read enemy animations and master parrying just to survive. Fortunately, there's a massive arsenal of weapons and armors to fit your playstyle. Plus, the upcoming 1.0 update includes a soft class system designed to guide you towards a specific build without locking you out of other playstyles if you decide to change your mind later on. They've also rolled out an incredibly innovative co-op mode for up to 4 players. World progression is entirely shared, and best of all, you don't need a host to be online to jump in and play. Honestly, there are so many cool features that I could talk about them all day, but I'll call it here. The 1.0 launch for No Rest for the Wicked is set for sometimes this October, with the exact release date dropping soon. The next entry on our list is going to have us bouncing between islands and spending plenty of time on the high seas. Coming up at number 2 is Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, developed by Ubisoft Singapore. You are getting to re-experience the story of Edward Kenway, an incredibly charismatic and rebellious British privateer turned pirate, sailing across the Caribbean to build his own empire before getting caught in a secret war between the Assassins and the Templars. But honestly, this isn't just a simple visual upscale. The original lead writer David McDev actually came back to write 2 brand new narrative scenes and rewrite an existing one just to give us a deeper look into Edward's personal life. The main story is heavily doubling down on the themes of greed, and they've extended the character arcs for legendary historic pirates like Blackbeard and Stede Bonnet. Now let's talk about gameplay, because the upgrades here are huge. They finally introduced modern stealth mechanics, including crouching anywhere and diving anywhere. This means you can literally swim up to an enemy ship, fully submerge and board it if you wanted to. Best of all, do you remember those brutal, frustrating segments when you had to trail a target and eavesdrop for information? The ones where you'd fail the last second and get sent back all the way to the start? Those are completely gone now. Now, if you've messed up an eavesdropping or accidentally killed your target, the game doesn't stop. It actually opens up alternative routes for you to go and collect that information instead. Stealth also features a brand new visibility meter that dynamically reacts to how well you're hidden in the shadows. Combat is also getting an overhaul built around perfect parries, tight timing windows, and shorter high-impact combo chains. But honestly, the best thing about this release is just getting to hear those amazing sea shanties all over again.
Tomorrow you will get your pay, and it's time for us to leave her.
But look, in my opinion, Black Flag will always take second place in this franchise, just behind Ezio's story and the legendary soundtrack of Assassin's Creed 2. But this remake looks spectacular. The wait is almost over, because Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced drops just a few days from now on July 9th, 2026. And now we're moving away from the faraway shores of the Caribbean and heading straight towards medieval Europe for what I believe to be the most anticipated PC release of this year. At number 1 we have the Blood of Dawnwalker, developed by Rebel Wolves and published by Bandai Namco. Now, if this studio name doesn't ring a bell, then their pedigree absolutely will. The team is made of former Witcher 3 developers, and it's being led by Konrad Tomaszkiewicz, the actual game director from, you guessed it, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. So right away you already know what kind of mature storytelling and dark atmosphere we'll be dealing with here. The game takes place in the year 1341, when the Black Plague is decimating an alternative medieval Europe. The story takes us to a place called Vel Sangora, hidden deep within the Carpathian Mountains, and with humanity in its absolute weakest, a cabal of vampires steps out of the shadows. They quickly overthrow the feudal lords, enslave the human populace, and demand a brutal blood tax. You play as Cohen, a young man working in the local silver mines. One day, after a trip to the mountain, Cohen's little sister Lunka catches the plague. The local soldiers catch wind of this and decide to burn the entire village to contain the plague. After a chase, cornered at an abandoned castle and far away from the village, just moments away from that, Brances, the leader of the vampire cabal, appears and steps in. He cures the girl and saves them both, but in return turns Cohen into a vampire. Now you've got a 30 days deadline to stop Brances, save your family, and figure out what you're becoming. The devs have also dropped some massive details about how the game actually plays. The Blood of the Dawnwalker won't feature a traditional main or side quests. Instead, every single decision you make organically pulls the narrative forward. With no traditional quest logs and multiple major routes, each playthrough should feel unique. On top of that, the game is split between a day and night cycle, with Cohen unlocking his powerful vampire abilities exclusively during the night. And honestly guys, I'm planning at least 2 runs just to see how embracing each side of Cohen changes the story. Looking at the footage, the art style has that beautiful and familiar Witcher blend of Northern European and Balkan atmosphere, and as someone from this region, these aesthetics are drawing me in even more. Plus, we don't get many of those, so when a game like this drops, it always feels fresh and unique. Out of everything on this list, this is the game I keep coming back to. The pedigree, the settings, the day and night loop, it feels fresh and familiar at the same time. Enough to keep me glued to my seat for at least 100 hours, which is the sweet spot for me. The Blood of Dawnwalker is officially set to debut on September 3rd, 2026. Hopefully this got you at least a little bit as excited for those games as I am. But I wanna hear it from you guys, which one of those are you most looking forward to? Let me know down in the comments. I know a ton of games didn't make the cut today, so if I missed your personal favorite, definitely call me out down there. If you made it all the way to the end, drop a quick like, it goes a long way and it really helps the channel grow. We have a ton of incredible games dropping between now and December and I can't wait to show them to you. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the latest exciting releases, and more videos are on the way. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.